Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave comments so we know what kind of stories you love the most. Scum of a man hires my unit to do a job after refusing to pay us, so I help ruin him. This is a bit long because I have to give context to everything. Please bear with the explanation. A few things first. First, I'm a security officer with a private investigator certification, which allows me to take PI, private investigator cases, as long as it doesn't interfere with local police investigations, and any crimes that I witness must be reported to the police ASAP so they can make an arrest. PI cases come from a few sources. We're sometimes contracted by local police to do what's referred to as spotter work, where we're brought on an active wide area investigation to do recon work and look but not interact with anything that might be involved with the case. Basically, we're just an extra pair of eyes, or the local police will mix us in a surveillance operation, and we would follow low-profile individuals and report their day-to-day activities. These are completely confidential. Then there is client contracts. This is where corporate clients contract our company's personal investigations unit to investigate their employees' day-to-day activities while on the job to see if there's some hint that an employee is committing a crime, and to report if there's reasonable proof that an employee is breaking the law on company time. The job is to gather evidence to prove guilt or innocence. These aren't confidential, but we usually sign a non-disclosure agreement. Finally, there are personal contracts. When a person wants to hire a personal investigator to do a job, it's usually something along the lines of a husband or wife suspecting that their spouse is cheating on them and wants some kind of proof. Or someone's looking for a relative or lost family member and is trying to reconnect with them. There's no disclosure agreement, and it's up to the client to draw up a disclosure agreement. Most don't, but we keep quiet as a professional courtesy. Okay, now that the job description is done, let me tell you what happened. About 3 years ago, I'd been hired to do a personal contract. The client, a rich, sleazy snob, was apparently stupidly rich. He hired my unit, and when I say my unit, I mean the unit I work with, a 5-man team. He believed his wife was cheating on him with other people, and he wanted proof of this so he could start his divorce process with solid evidence. He contracted us in a 6-month contract and was to pay the company XXX dollars upon completion. So we set up surveillance cameras all over his large house and in the woman's car with the client's permission. We had at least one of the team tailing her at all times. Good times. Day in, day out, we watch their lives. And in this line of work, you either get detached or emotionally invested, like watching a soap opera. As we watched them, we quickly saw this lady was a freaking saint. She volunteered at a soup kitchen and a children's hospital. She helped with local churches, canned food drives, those kinds of things. She was the perfect definition of what a good human should be. On the other hand, the husband was a total bastard. He was the one we caught many times bringing women to his house. Sometimes he'd bring 2 or 3 girls in one day. And that was only what was recorded in the house. We arrived at the 4-month mark, which is basically where we show all the evidence and give the 3-quarter report. We show him everything that we found and have a 6-hour debrief with video and audio support, showing that she hadn't done any wrongdoing other than a speeding ticket and a few double park situations. After we concluded the debrief, he looked stupefied and says, "So you didn't catch her cheating? That was the point of me hiring you." My boss, our captain, turns to him with a serious stare, which is perhaps the most serious and badass-looking face I've ever seen on that man, and said, "You hired us to investigate your wife. You're unhappy that your wife is an honest and faithful woman?" The snob is visibly annoyed. He stands up and is getting his jacket when my captain says, "Look, there's still 2 months on the contract. We'll keep tailing her, and we'll meet again after our contract is up, and I'll give you any updates." The snob turns to him and says, "Don't bother. This is over. I'm ending it. Come when she's not home and get your equipment out." So a week later, we did exactly that. Now, food for thought. When contracts like this are made, a small portion is paid up front as a commission fee. The rest is paid at the end of the contract's allotted time. In this case, it's 6 months. Now, pay works like this. The commission is divided up between each PI as a bonus to our salary, and the salary is what we get from the company to get us through to the completion of the contract. The remaining balance after being paid by the client is then divided into a cut for completion for the PIs and a cut for the office. Good money when done right. So fast forward to the next payday after the contract is officially over. My unit gets a call from our office to come in on the next payday as there's an emergency meeting regarding us and the last contract. We get there and find out Snob pulled the funding and refused to pay us for the work. So we're getting paid, just not with the completion bonus. We all left super pissed. We went to lunch and brainstormed how to get even with the effer. Then we remembered all the house footage of his dirty deeds. At first we wanted to blackmail him, but that's low and we're better than that. I remembered the wife, so I reached out to her. I set a date to sit down and explain everything to her. I showed her the videos. She cried for a good half hour. I think I broke her whole world. It was gut-wrenching. I then advised her to get a lawyer and proceeded to give her all the collected evidence and my business card. Aftermath. Fast forward about 6 months, I'm called into court as my company is suing him for fraud, breach of contract, and unpaid dues. My company wins the case easily, as his lawyer's argument was that we failed to deliver the result he wanted. But we weren't hired to deliver a product. We were hired to observe and report. We got paid in the end. I was contacted by the wife, who thanked me for all the evidence. She got a divorce. Because of all the evidence I gave her, she got almost everything: the huge house, both cars, and a huge cash sum. Moral of the story: don't try to screw over people who specialize in gathering evidence and reconnaissance. I'm glad she got everything. That's totally karma at its finest. And our second story. Karen wants $1,000 cash for a $10 coupon sent to the wrong address. Pays more in legal fees. This story's from a few years ago when I worked in the legal department of a 1,000-plus store national retailer. As part of my job, I handled customer complaints that elevated when the customer threatened legal action. Our customer service call center forwarded Karen's call to me after she threatened legal action. Karen left a message claiming that she was not provided $10 in customer reward coupons, spend $200, receive a $10 coupon in the mail sort of thing. This was before apps, based on her purchase of clothing for her son and daughter for back to school. I looked into it and called Karen back. It turned out we had an old address associated with her rewards account. No big deal, right? I spoke with Karen and offered to send her the original $10 coupon and an additional $25 for her trouble to the correct address. That did not satisfy Karen. She claimed we should have known her address and threatened to sue us if we didn't pay her $1,000 in cash. Her rationale was that it would have cost us at least $1,000 to defend the suit. She was in a state where our company did not have any offices, so we should just pay it to her. I declined, but still forwarded her the $10 coupon she was entitled to pursuant to our rewards program. Sure enough, she sued us for breach of contract, fraud, and any other conceivable charge. I went to my boss, the COO, and told him the story. He asked what I wanted to do. I said I'd rather pay legal fees to a defense attorney than pay Karen, and he agreed. I contacted outside counsel, our awesome attorney, and explained the situation to him. I crap you not, he said in a southern drawl, I get to sue Karen? I should be paying you guys. There's a lot of lawyers in this legal community who'd love to sue her, as she's reckless, unpleasant, and a total pain in the rear to deal with. I'll gladly take your case. He agreed to defend us at a reduced rate. Part of our defense strategy was to countersue her under the state's frivolous lawsuit statute, which would move the suit from small claims court to the larger civil court. Awesome Attorney filed our answer and counterclaim. Although Karen was an attorney, she was not a defense attorney, so she had to engage her own attorney to defend against the counterclaim. After a couple of hearings, she offered to settle for no more money exchanged. She didn't even get the extra $25 coupon I offered her, and the dismissal of both suits. I talked with Awesome Attorney about continuing our claim, but he advised that it'd probably be worth settling and being done with it rather than being vindictive. Although vindictive would have been fun, courts tend not to like that, so I agreed. My company ended up paying Awesome Attorney $900 in attorney fees. Awesome Attorney later called and told us that the attorney Karen engaged charged her $1,700 to defend the suit. Although I would like to have continued with our suit, I think her having to pay $1,700 over a $10 coupon sent to the wrong address is sufficient justice. You want to invade my space with your car while I wait for a tow truck? Hope you didn't have to rush off. Today was balls hot, and between my car's AC not working and my body's habit of sweating puddles in anything over 70 degrees, my mood was already a bit thin. I was picking up some items from Home Depot and parked halfway in a quarter-full parking lot, plenty of open spaces around. I haven't gone to the store much in the past few months, So while I was trying to remember the PPE order of operations, I absent-mindedly let my keys slip from my lap into the cup holder. I'm all kitted up and go get my stuff from the lockers and head back to the car. I start patting my pockets and feel that little ball of fear rolling around the pit of my stomach. I start walking faster, and as I get to my car, I see the keys in the cup holder. I'm standing there staring through the window while sweating buckets from a 3-minute walk, annoyed, but I contact roadside and get a truck dispatched quickly. As I'm leaning against the front of my car, a van comes down the lane on the opposite row and pulls into the spot right in front of my car. As the driver starts pulling closer to my legs, I shout, "Hold it," and put my hand out. She stops the van about 1.5 feet from me and looks pissy, like hitting me would have inconvenienced her plans for the day. I look around at the 9 other open spots all next to or behind her in the area and gesture towards them. She gestures at me and mouths, "Why?" I guess she was asking me why I was just standing there, despite it not being any of her damn business. I say I'm locked out of my car. She sits in her car for a good 5 minutes, just adding to the heat around me while I screw around on my phone. Eventually she gets out, scowls at me, and goes inside. About 20 minutes after she went in, my tow truck shows up, but it's on the lane opposite me. I was feeling a bit petty, so I stopped the guy right behind the van, not thinking anything would come of it. Well, right as he goes to get the tools, van lady comes out of the store. She was lividly muttering to herself as she gets in her car and turns it on. I explain the basics of the situation. He looks around at all the other still open spots in sheer confusion when a crap-eating grin comes across his face. He starts opening the door and taking a few extra minutes to make sure he does it right. Then has me sit in his air-conditioned cab while he fills out an order form because his phone was acting up. The dude probably took an extra 10 minutes to do his job while van lady is stewing in her annoyance. I appreciated the solidarity and threw him a few bucks for the service. He then made sure I got to leave first before rolling out. Dear tow truck guy, you rock. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.